Hi, I wanted to walk you through a quick video and hoping that you'll like what you see and you'll want to join me in my webinar. The webinar is going to be really about how we can lead well and how we can have more dignity and honor as we lead in these times of crisis. One thing is true, I think that in this time, no one knows what to do because no one has gone through what we're all going through. And this is one of the first times in recorded history that the entire Earth is going through something at the same time, and we can all view it, we can all see it. So I just want to share some things, just some highlights, and these are things you know, but the reality is life as we know it has changed. Even this past weekend, sadly, a 30-year-old passed away from COVID-19 because he went to a COVID party. He thought that the coronavirus was a hoax. As we know, it's not a hoax. Even in the state of Florida, with a skyrocketing number of 15,000 cases in a day, and as a country, we saw 69,000 over a single day over the weekend. Life as we know it has changed. And as leaders, we need to change as we adjust to these new realities. I'm sharing these graphs because they're pictorial. They show you kind of a picture really quickly. But I wouldn't be surprised that you, like what I've done, I've limited my intake of news because it's frankly depressing. But I want to show you some of this just so you can see how incredibly cataclysmic this change has been. From the way we search online, even for directions, that's changed because we're not out as much. Or for restaurants, for those four folks who are in the restaurant business, in restaurants that have closed. Hotel occupancy rates. Again, if you're in the hotel and leisure industry, it's just been decimated. The travel industry. At one time, I think the figure I read was 95% of U.S. travel was down. There's a little bit of an uptick in U.S. home purchases, permanent job losses between those who are unemployed. It is absolutely significant. It's more than we've ever known before. Here are the state-by-state breakdowns of those in the hospitality and leisure industries, and you can see it's not good news. Consumer spending, how much we're spending has gone down so much. And as our economy goes, it's really based upon how well we spend. And as a country, we can't spend because we don't have jobs. As you can see, there was a very steady, the economy was pretty steady in how many folks would claim unemployment, right around 200,000 every single week. And then boom, the middle of March hits and we have over 6 million. And then the number of people that are receiving unemployment benefits. This is unprecedented. We've never seen something like this before. Unemployment by state, from the highest to 25.3 in the state of Nevada to 5.2% in the state of Nebraska. The disparity between those who are minorities, be it Black, Hispanic, Asian, to the white unemployment number, there is a significant gap in the disparity of that. The PMI has fallen under 50, signaling a contraction in the manufacturing sector, even though it looks like it's going up a little bit. But I suggest that we, as leaders, we stop and press pause just for a second, and we want to be adaptable leaders, leaders who have a sense of resilience, and we want to lead in such a way that we care for other people. I suggest that we look at 3 different ways of doing that. The first way is to leverage strengths. There's a caution here because when we work within our strengths, that's within our wheelhouse, and that's what we're really good at doing. And that, generally speaking, that is what gives us the results that we've always had. And that's good news. But the bad news in a time of crisis, when we lead with our strengths, we tend to do the same thing that got us to where we are, and we are in uncharted waters. So how do you adapt when everything has changed? So how do we adapt as we lead? We leverage strengths. Secondly, how do we adapt as we lead? We begin with who. We need to think differently. We need to think about who we're going to put on the bus. And I promise you, because of all the things that have changed, the people that are on the bus now in your businesses that are in seats on the bus, for more likely than not, the roles that they are needing to play and the roles they need to perform in their work, those roles have changed. So in many ways, the people need to change too. So we need to have a better way of finding people so that we can put the right people in the right role. And it's all about knowing what seats you have in the bus so that you can get the right people on the bus. And that metaphor, that illustration is really from Jim Collins in the book Good to Great, where he talks about great executives were really more concerned about getting the who before they got the what. And so can you, and so can we as we become better leaders. If we want to know what it takes to find the right person, we need to know what it takes to do the right role, and not vice versa. Because it's all about defining the role and then finding the right person who's behaviorally going to fill that role. That's what I want to talk about more in detail. And I'd be happy to spend time with you one-on-one. But the bottom line is we can do that now, and we can do it pretty accurately. So how do we adapt as we lead? We leverage strengths, we begin with who, and then we align teams. There are only 4 kinds of teams. There are teams that are exploring, producing, stabilizing, and cultivating. And the reality is, in this shift, is what's happened since COVID is that we were normally needing teams on the right, the visionary, the driving, but now things have moved. So we need more of the cultivating, stabilizing teams. But the reality is if we're going to get out of this, we have to have all 4. But do you know the kinds of behaviors and drives and needs that comprise your teams? Well, that's exactly what we can talk about, and I can help you with that. I look forward to meeting all of you, and I look forward to you stepping into this webinar. Talk soon.